Namaskar and welcome to Samvad. Asim Munir, Field Marshal Asim Munir is a frequent flyer and is one of the most frequent flyers to United States. So he was recently in the United States and doing what he does best, throwing existential threats to India. Whereas on the other hand, he keeps claiming that India is putting Pakistan under existential threats, but he keeps on issuing these threats. So discuss these threats and what it means. We have with us Lieutenant General Devendra Pratap Pandey, former GOC 15 Corps and Commandant Army War College, Mhow. Welcome to Samvad, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Sir, I will not repeat the question in whole because it has been repeated n number of times over news channels. Just the quotation, what Asim Munir said in Florida. So I quote him, "We are a nuclear nation. If we think we are going down, we are taking half the world down with us," unquote. Sir, what is the import of this statement?
So, firstly, when you started off by saying you're talking of giving existential threat to India, is his forte. Actually, I don't think so. The statement is limited to now India only. It is not talking of half the world, right? So that is very important. The second is that the rest of the half of the world also has to be worried now because half the world he is now wiped out in his mind. The other half of the world also has to be worried because there will be nothing for them to pick because wherever the nuclear holocaust will happen, the resources, it may be starting from the gas, petrol, the oil, human resource, the granaries. After all, the world is interconnected. And you just simply can't say half the world is destroyed and the rest of the world is living in peace, right? So I think the entire world needs to take a notice of it that he certainly graduated from talking about anti-India to anti-world. What is amazing for me is that this statement has come about in American soil, on American soil. And today, now, nearly about more than 24 hours have passed, but there's just been no official statement from the Americans about this statement, right? Technically, he should have been told, thank you so much, Asim Munir, we invited you as a guest, but you have crossed the line of you were leading a terrorist state, but now you have technically become a terrorist yourself, quite publicly, and that too in uniform. One of the very famous American person has made a statement that he is Osama bin Laden in suit, right? So if that is the case, I think Americans should have taken notice of it and made some sort of a polite noises about it, which has not happened. So I'm only looking at what is happening behind the scene. Are these statements driven by the deep state which controls America? Is it being controlled by military industrial complex? You are looking at Asim Munir. I'm not looking at Asim Munir. I'm looking at somebody behind who's controlling him. After all, radical also is controlled by somebody. He is not a radical by himself. He's got a levers running behind which control his actions and beyond. Why is this gentleman who is running a country, who owns a country, who is a proxy government, who is also a dictator of sorts of this country, is making such a statement outside, right? He will not be making it on its own. So is it to do with the current administration of America, which is frustrated with our country because it wants to strike deals, it wants to force seeds and crops which are totally anti-Indian farmers. It wants to support its own farmers at the cost of Indian farmers. Is it about F-35 to be bought from them? Is it about the Boeing deal because of the recent crashes of Boeing which has happened? Is it about the Russian oil or our proximity to Russia, which has been a steadfast partner? What has changed that till now? A few months back, India was their most important partner to actually hedge with the Chinese, and suddenly what has changed, right? So this we need to analyze. We should not look at Asim Munir. We should look the the puppeteers behind Asim Munir. Let's reflect upon Asim Munir. Why is he making these statements? Why is he encouraged to make his statements? Uh, I think it is his compulsion. Asim Munir comes from, he's technically a Muazir. His family has moved from Jalandhar, settled down into this thing. And as is unfortunately, when you leave your own parents and you separate from your brothers and parents, your biggest animosity comes from your parents. You hate them to your core of heart. And that is what has happened to the Muazirs. So you look at Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who went from Delhi. You look at Apna Ziaul Haq, who went from, what do you call, from Gujarat, right? The erstwhile, क्या नाम उसका? I'm forgetting this name.
Musharraf, sir, Musharraf.
Huh?
Musharraf.
So I'm saying where the Bhutto family came uh, from that particular state of Gujarat.
Kathiawad, sir. Maybe Junagadh or
Not
Kathia.
Junagadh.
Junagadh.
Junagadh. So, their hatred to India is absolute, right? So one is that. Then he has been brought up from a religious madrasa kind of an education. He's from a fringe part of his army. He was extremely ambitious. He's gone to a short service school, which is supposed to be a number 2, number 3 as a pre-commissioning school for officers. It got shut down for a brief period of time. He has risen to this rank through extreme hard work, right? And towing the line of religious radicalization, because when he got commissioned, that is the time Ziaul Haq was converting the entire Pakistan armed forces into a religious orientation of a professional military, right? And then he also calls himself as a deceiver, and he has been deceiving at every level to reach where he is. So while he wanted to become the chief, and he was sidelined just before that, but Shahbaz Sharif and Nawaz Sharif realized that he will be their own man against Imran Khan, and he will do their bidding. And they brought him as a chief after superseding many generals after his retirement date by 2 days. So look at the complexity. And he has, while becoming the chief and on his way to chief, he's very purged number of middle ranking and senior ranking military officers of Pakistan Army. So his stakes are very high to survive that country. Right? But Op Sindoor happened. When Op Sindoor happened, they know exactly what is there. The evidence is in front of the world. Now, if he steps out, and that is why he got himself promoted to Field Marshal, to project that they have succeeded in the venture, right? In Op Sindoor, they have won, while evidences show otherwise. Even the Pakistanis know otherwise. So he's not taken absolute control, and he needs to keep on upping the rhetoric and ante against India to tell the world that I am slightly, radical, eccentric. Be careful of me. Listen to me. Otherwise, things will go haywire. Right? So that is his, I think, compulsion now, that he'll keep on moving on a path of irrationality or show that path of irrationality.
Sir, but then that takes us to the question, because she issuing these threats from the soil of the United States. And United States for a very long time is supposed to be one of the strongest voiced against proliferation of nuclear weapons. It is supposed to be, although it is a huge arsenal itself, it is supposed to be a voice. So why is it so pliant? Why is it so, what should I say, permissive when this person stands on its soil, issues threats? Because I have a whole list of threats he's issued, and why I use the word existential for India. He talks about the 10 missiles se faarigh kar denge, about some dam which is not being built.
Okay, man, I'll shift this focus on the question of why Americans are, I'll not say pliant. Americans are using him, right? And both of them are thinking that we are using each other. Now I have to see who comes out at first. But please understand, Kissinger or somebody has said very clearly that the most dangerous friends are the American friends, right? Which Pakistan has learned over a period of time, but unfortunately, They don't get hanged, then they have nowhere else to go actually. Every time Americans call, they go running. Because also, please understand, we are colonial people. Our mindsets in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India has not changed. So let's say when the Americans will call, even we get exuberant that Americans have called to us. White man has called, the French have called, the Germans have called. हमें गोरे चमड़ी की आदत पड़ी हुई है, colonial mindset है हमारा, right? When the Africans will call, we will not be so excited, right? Let's say Asian countries have called, it will be a one little blip somewhere. So we got this whole bias in Pakistan comes from that Indian subcontinental thing of a colonial mindset, which has not changed yet. It is in fact has been more entrenched in the same. Couple of things which has happened. When Op Sindoor happened, Pakistanis have given absolutely open checkbook to Trump by saying that he's the one who's got the ceasefire done. Oh, by the way, he should be nominated for Nobel Prize, right? There has been a crypto deal, which is a shady deal, which has happened with a family member of of Trump, right? Which is quite well shady, but it's well known to the same. Then they have offered something in oil and gas reserves to America, which is again not existing. It is pretense, but they have offered something. Then Balochistan, which they have not declared as a Balochistan movement, they have declared as a terrorist for a terrorist organization. The mineral resources which the China was extracting has been offered possibly to the Americans. And that is why BLA has now been declared as. So when you look at these contests for resources and pandering to the ego of today, Trump is technically behaving like a royalty, a spoiled royalty. And I don't want to compare him with North Korean dictator. Because if you see when the North Korean dictator comes out onto the screen, everybody's clapping, everybody's looking at him. And when you look at actually Trump, he is also in that manner of getting acknowledged every time. When he makes a statement, he wants everybody to say, yes, yes, you are. So when you're dealing with such a person, Pakistanis know how to suck up. And unfortunately, India, it is not about Modi, Prime Minister Modi. Indians for too long, except for one or two prime ministers in between, I don't know, take names, will become political. But if you look at Mrs. Indira Gandhi and people of Shastri ji and all, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, they have not relented for anything beyond their own strategic autonomy thing. So this, they are not able to understand. Every country, he makes a statement, every country is coming to me. They are now coming, they'll make me happy, they'll make Americans happy. You don't talk about leadership like this. It is only when you are thinking that you are a lordship of the world and everybody who's now coming to pay obeisance to you. That is how you do it. So Pakistanis have possibly cracked that code, how to suck up, right? And get into the White House and pander to the ego of the man who's required. Modi ji wants to believe that he is one-to-one at the similar parameter. After all, he is. He is Prime Minister of a 4 trillion economy, fourth largest in the world. It is the largest populated country. Everything speaks in our favor, right? But will the Americans like it? They don't like it, right? So when I say Americans, it's not the entire American population. I'm just talking of very, very few people, and they are taking it amiss, I guess. They don't know where they are burning the finger, or it may be just a transactional and transitional movement, which may happen. You again look at the control around and disturbances. Myanmar is in fire. They try to take trouble into Sri Lanka. They got Bangladesh into a challenging environment, and now they got the Pakistanis under the leverage. So it is. We used to have Chinese trying to surround, but unfortunately today the Americans have got focus on this. They are possibly not very happy with India rising, right? Again, not everybody. Maybe the deep state, maybe the military industrial complex, which is finding itself into competition not only with the Chinese, now also with Indian stuff which is coming out, right? So these are the issues. Let's not look at symbolic disease, you must look at the cause of the disease, which is called Munir, right? And which I think I've laid out a bouquet of reasons to you.
Sir, the cause of the disease also was Hillary Clinton calling out that the Pakistani, you don't keep snakes in your backyard because they do go bite you. So, and then we have a host of other issues. Donald Trump himself tweeting about it in 2018 that they've been fooled for a very long time. But somehow we see this fascination of the American deep state, call it the deep state, call it the establishment, with Pakistani military musclemen. Starting with Ayub, it extended to Yahya Khan, Ziaul Haq, Parvez Musharraf, and now Asim Munir. So there's something about the Pakistani military per se, because the politicians have been sidelined totally. He was speaking on foreign policy also. And I was reading somewhere in the statement itself, and he said, there was some senior politician sitting in the crowd also. He said, Munir, they say war is too serious to be left to the generals, but politics is also too serious to be left to the politicians. Now he's dictating foreign policy. So what is about the Pakistani military? Because Imran Khan is in jail, nobody is bothered. 2 years now, nobody is bothered. No American is bothered about democracy. So what is it about the politico-military diplomacy which goes on in Pakistan?
No, it's not about Pakistan. Again, we get too focused on Pakistan. Please understand, China are big powers, right? And big powers who deal with business, they like to deal not with democracies, they like to deal with dictators. It's much more easier because, if you got dictators or you got military people, they listen to orders. They listen to your money speaks. You can control them by so many things. So when you look at the Chinese, where do they able to, Chinese or Americans, where are their influences? Their influences are into the countries where there is one man who's leading the country, not a democracy, right? Democracy, they want to keep it to in the European Union environment, where they form a conglomerate, and through that conglomerate, they have non-state actors like variety of international organizational institutions, and then they deal with the rest of the world. But in the rest of the world, they will like to deal with Yunus, right? Which is more like a dictator. He may be radical, but that's fine with them, right? So anywhere you will find a decision making is difficult because democratic systems are very difficult. They are inefficient, right? You have to. Why do you think Prime Minister Modi can't take a call on the tariff part in which he's saying that allow our dairy product or farm products to be brought into your country, or you buy our military equipment or stuff like that? Why do you think he can't? Because he is into democratic environment wherein when the farmers will come for agitation, he will lose the next election. Right? While I know generally he's got his heart for the farmers because from the background which he comes or his party comes, but the fact of the matter is it is inconvenient. You imagine there was a dictator in this country, he would have signed the deal. And he also knows that tomorrow, if let's say if I have to run from here, I can stay in Canada, France, Germany, Saudi Arabia, or Dubai, or in America, in a good place. My entire money is invested there, and I have to just go and stay in that location. My children are in any case studying there. I can run away. So they find it very convenient. The white man finds it very convenient to deal with one man top. So Pakistan military brings it to the table. Why should they like to deal with Imran Khan, who's the popular leader of? He may be radical, he may be anti-India, right? But then he was a popular leader. He will like to think on his own. The day he started thinking against American interest, the Americans got them removed and put him behind the bars, right? Shahbaz Sharif, Nawaz Sharif, and what do you call this guy, Asim Munir, are just mere puppets doing the bidding. Look at American Pakistan military has got two segments. One is the soldiers, right? Who will not go and settle down in America and properties in Canada. They're just one chief of joint staff of committee has CGS has taken citizenship of Canada. He's just moved, right? Look at Parvez Musharraf. Where was he staying? Look at Nawaz Sharif. Where is he staying? Where are the children staying? So if some trouble comes, they will all run. they'll stay in that location. So that is why I think we need to see from that lens that where they come from. They will like to deal with Zelensky one to one. They like to deal with. They will not like to deal uh, with They may speak of democracy to control the world through very high flown words.
Hmm.
But in Africa, where was democracy? By there? No places. They had their own people. They had the mercenaries. They had the paramilitaries operating in these countries, having one coup after another. Right. So that is how they work like to function.
So I'll take my question to a broader canvas now because I'm switching from Pakistan. During the Trump campaign, 2.0 campaign, he was seemed to be focusing on Asia Pacific, Indo-Pacific. Now it's become Asia Pacific suddenly. So, but after what has been happening after Op Sindoor, where India is gradually there, because the politicians they are different people. The foreign the diplomats are different people, sir. But the anger in the country, I mean, you must have felt it yourself. People are very dissatisfied with what is going on from the American side. The Australian Prime Minister has still not been able to meet Donald Trump. He's still searching for an opportunity to meet Donald Trump. So the whole Indo-Pacific strategy was based on the Quad. So where is this Quad heading, or has Trump given up on the Indo-Pacific strategy completely?
So there were two things which happened. One was he came on a platform of stopping wars, right? Stopping other people's war. That was one platform which he came. Second platform he came about that I'm not going to be investing for security for others, right? But it's easier, and these are very, very important acknowledgement that this country is actually the downfall of this country has started, and it is also an acknowledgement that they can't compete with the Chinese anymore, which is actually moving at a very, very fast pace. This thing. So unfortunately, the track which they have taken, right? Prior, while I was not a great supporter of the Biden administration, but they were at least trying to hedge Chinese to some degree,
Hmm.
right? This administration has totally given by taking policies which are flawed policies by isolating rest of the world away from this thing. And suddenly in today's world, Americans are not looking very bright people to engage with. Chinese may look, you imagine the shift which has happened, right? The only good part which comes out for Quad is that today even Chinese are into troubled. When American economy goes down, the Chinese economy can't be far behind because they are highly intertwined. The majority of the American bonds which have been bought, I think about 60-70%, I'm not true, I don't remember in trillions of dollars, has been bought by the Chinese. So when Americans fall, those bond values will also fall. So you'll certainly find that they are holding bonds which are not worth it,
Hmm.
right? Internally also, the Chinese are quite challenged because of number of other issues, which are, of course, because their growth trajectory was at a very, very high rate.
Hmm.
And when your growth trajectory was of very high rate, there's a thing called burnout which happens. The friction is very high, right? Eventually, because the speed with which you move, you have got high chances of burnout. Aspirations of people which have risen are now failing. So there are internal challenges. Then third is that Chinese expose themselves slightly too early by their expansionist agenda, by coming very overtly about Taiwan and South China Sea and everything. So what has happened is that while Quad is important, but even the smaller nations, Taiwan, Japan, what do you call Philippines, all these three, four countries have now focused towards their defense expenditure and they have become slightly more stronger. So it is not going to be very easy that today the Chinese they decide कि we will go into the South China Sea or we'll go towards the Philippines and we'll push out the Philippines Navy. It aren't going to be easy, right? And they have also tied up certain degree of alliances or with security guarantees with Americans and all.
Hmm.
So while Quad was important, right? It will remain important and it may become triad. But fact of the matter is that Americans, when they'll seek an opportunity to suppress China, they will surely come forward, right? And today, Trump is focused not on security. He's totally focused on the economy. There is a challenge. You listen to his yesterday's presser in which he says 1 year back, American economy was dead economy, right? And now people are giving us money. They have decided to spend money in our country, and therefore, technically, we are paying for reviving the economy of the world is paying to revive the economy of America. This thing had happened to India, we would have been actually, really schooled about how to manage your economy by the Europeans and the Westerns. But look at the irony. Today he's celebrating that from dead economy, because people are investing in my country, we are now going to thrive and survive.
So
Right? And
that
it's a matter of
is
pride.
so that is something I don't understand. He's tariffing his own people. He's tariffing his own people and raising the price of his own people because whoever is importing, say, Indian goods, sir, the person importing those goods is paying a higher price. So I'm
No,
not
this
sure
is
as
not
to.
that. Nani, I don't think so. It is there. People are talking of it. There will be some change. But the fact of the matter is that it compels something like us. That's how you protect your jobs. You create your own job market. Like Saudis realized for 20 years back that all this running on the oil and gas, on oil, reliance on oil, is making their country actually useless. So, there's a lot of money and everybody is living on free, good style. And that is how, when you don't have much job to do, you start going towards radical thoughts and stuff like that. So they started investing, expanding, right? Is education, job, creating job markets and all. This is what even I think Trump is trying to do for his country. He wants to pull back certain degree of now the American people who have become so lazy to live on cheap Chinese and the Bangladeshi and the Indian and Vietnamese goods are willing to work on those factories is matter of a debate what will happen. But the fact of the matter is that he's going to ensure that, and plus he's compelling us to open our markets, to get their goods which are their stronger part. After all, there's a $44 billion gap trade
Deficit.
deficit with the Americans, right?
Sir, one final question, sir. While the Americans and the Chinese, they might be competing in Indo-Pacific and other markets, Pakistan is somewhere where their interests converge, and they seem to be happy coexisting with each other in that country because it happened during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, where America was pumping in the money and the Chinese were selling their arms and ammunition inside inside Pakistan. Today we have this CPEC going through Pakistan, and America is also heavily interested in Pakistan. So how do these interests converge at certain places and diverge at most of the other places? Is it only about India or is it something more?
No, it's not about India. It is about self-interest. They are not anti-India per se. Okay, China may not like the rise of this thing, but Chinese are smart. If Americans are going to fight a war or conflict into Afghanistan, clear out Russians from there and install Taliban, which will be much more easier for the Chinese to deal with Taliban. So why not? They are spending the money. After you look at Americans have fought 3 to 4 wars in this century only,
Hmm.
right? And who has turned out to be advantaged because they spent the money in those areas also for reconstruction and they got nothing much back. After all, when they moved out from Afghanistan, they left billions of dollars of worth of arms, ammunition, equipment, and stuff like that, which is now the property of the Taliban. Who lost? Americans lost. And who gained? The Chinese, they were watching on the silent. And the moment the Americans moved out, they signed deeds and all for extraction of resources.
Hmm.
So Chinese are very smart. Chinese are not going to fight a war anywhere. A lot of people tell me that they will fight a war with India. I don't think so. They will fight a war with India when they know it is possible to win, right? So that is where, unfortunately, the moment I say they will not fight a war with India, people start saying कि फौज की जरूरत नहीं है. The
Hmm.
problem is they not like to fight a war with India because they know there is a credible fight back. They will not fight with Taiwan till the time they know there's a credible force, right? So you require the credible force. Pakistan is Look, a lot of people say that Pakistan is smart. Pakistan was the one which was the bridge between America and China in 1960s, right? And then 70s, the Chinese and American love affair started in big way, which the Chinese exploited the Americans to the fullest. And with Americans means the entire European countries. They learned, they sent people for technology training, the institutes, colleges. They got all the secrets, they reverse engineered the technology and they moved forward ahead. Right? What did Pakistan get? Nothing. They they were used by the Americans to train Taliban, right? And they put their own people. They thought this is the best way to get money from the Americans. They got billions of dollars for training and everything, which was put into terrorist camps and spoiling into their youth. Where are they? Look at the Chinese. Where are they? So while we may like to look at the Pakistanis as a very, very smart cookies, but we have to also see what is the state of the country.
True.
Right? So should we want to emulate what the Pakistanis are doing by sucking up to the Americans, then begging the Chinese and ignoring their own people and making them terrorists? I don't think so. We are different people, right? We don't have to emulate Pakistanis and Chinese and Americans. Big powers. I think on your show I've told you, big powers don't fight, one to one. They fight through proxies. So if the Pakistanis are getting themselves killed, their own people are getting poorer. I was just reading yesterday, there's a begging industry of $42 billion in which about 23 million of Pakistanis out of the 300 million of population, 3 to 400 million population are into begging. No Pakistani which goes outside says that I'm a Pakistani or I'm carrying a Pakistani this thing. He says I'm an Indian. He's willing to call himself as Bangladeshi, but he's not willing to call himself Pakistanis. So should we be happy what they are doing? Right. So I think, and it is not the contestation between China and America will remain till the time either of them will wane. One of them will wane, right? Eventually, this whole economy is can't going to be not going to be rising. It is about technology will take over, and who will have control of the rare earth material come into technology into big manner is the one which will possibly survive and thrive, right? And that is where the fight is. The fight is for the resources, right? And that is where Balochistan comes in. That is where Gilgit-Baltistan come in. These are the places where the resources are, not in Pakistan, Punjab, not in Sindh, but these are two places, right? Gilgit-Baltistan is available to China. They will make it barren. And Balochistan, now I'm looking at it, maybe goes to America. So where is Pakistan? It has been sold out. Thank you so much.
Sir, I agree that India cannot do what Pakistan has been doing. They're not worth the example to follow. And I just to add to that argument, sir, India, I believe we have a civilizational memory, and then we believe that the wheels of karma they call it. We call it karma. They change. So we will wait for the wheels of karma to change in our favor. And just before leaving, sir, just a yes and no from you, sir. You spoke of. Somebody said, I think it was Michael Rubin who said that Asim Munir is Osama in a suit. Do you agree, given his actions? Sir, a simple yes or no.
Yeah, he is. Where's the doubt?
Sir.
And
Sir.
he's willing to take his country for his own ideological radical thoughts. He's willing to take his entire country. Where in the world a military leadership goes out and speaks ayats, and those ayats are about destruction of people, not a possible progressive mindset, right? When you were talking to the expatriates had come, the Pakistanis were brought in, overseas Pakistanis were brought into Pakistan for the talk, in which you have got people from all over the world. You should be talking of investment, progress, in case but here you're talking of India, Hindus and Muslims are two nations, they can't stay together. Those people who are living outside, they're living amongst multi-national societies. You are talking all this nonsense to them, right? Now, when you go there to America and you're making threats in case those people, and if you see the video shot, except for one or two people who are vigorously clapping, others are looking at what a buffoon this chap is. Right. So he is a radical. Unfortunately, Osama bin Laden had a lot of money and support, and he had for some time support from the Americans only, and he sunk them. And this is what Asim Munir is, right? Today he's got the power of the military and the country. He owns the country, and he will tank Americans also. Unfortunately, the Americans have got very, very shallow memory.
True, sir. So I'll conclude on that part, sir. Thank you for sparing time for us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Jai Hind.